Next, the situation in the Sahel region of Africa. France, of course, was ordered to pull its troops out. They've been engaged in an anti-jihadist operation called Operation Barkhane, and this marked an end of France's long-standing relationship with the Sahel states that had once been under French colonial rule. Experts at the time speculated about Russian interference, since seen to have been a fact, and the risk of jihadism rising once again. Take the case of Mali, today under a fuel blockade mounted by local jihadi groups. Sure signs, say observers, of more problems further down the road.
Is the latest sector to buckle under the weight of jihadist control in Mali. Schools across the capital now forced to shut their doors as the effects of a tightening insurgent blockade ripple across daily life.
Classes will be suspended throughout the entire national territory until Sunday, November 9th, 2025. Classes will resume on November 10th. These decisions are due to disruptions in fuel supply that are affecting the movement of those involved in the education sector.
The shutdown follows a month-long blockade that's left Mali's fuel reserves running dry, with jihadist group Janim targeting tanker trucks coming from the west. It's just the latest flashpoint in the Sahel's surging insurgency, led by al-Qaeda affiliates like Janim and Islamic State. These groups now operate across more than 1 million square kilometers, twice the size of Spain, and the violence is escalating. In 2019, there were 1,900 recorded attacks. Last year, that number soared past 5,500. Already this year, 3,800 attacks have been reported. The toll is devastating, with around 76,900 lives lost since 2019. Both al-Qaeda and Islamic State factions are blamed for roughly half each, with Mali and neighboring Burkina Faso suffering 56% of those deaths. Both countries are ruled by military juntas that have expelled Western troops, particularly French forces, in recent years. In their place, Russia has stepped in. First its Wagner mercenaries, then their successors, the Africa Corps, filled the void, accused by rights groups of committing atrocities of their own.
It is a contentious issue. Let's bring in Delina Godjo for more on this one. She's Associate Fellow at Egmont Institute's Africa Programme. Thank you so much for being with us here in France 24, Delina. We appreciate your time. Joining us by phone, I understand. Great to have you on the line anyway. What's your take on the situation in the Sahel right now?
So you said it very well, you explained it very well. The blockade is causing some problems, some very serious problems, not just in terms of security, but also in terms of food security, and schools and universities closed until at least November 10th all over the country. But this blockade perpetrated by JNIM is also limiting the capacity for armed forces, the Malian armed forces, to block JNIM, as they also need fuel to be able to move. And so obviously the less they counter JNIM, the freer JNIM is to operate this blockade. Is a bit of a cycle. And the consequences, I think it's worth mentioning, they're not just practical consequences of livelihood for the Malian population, but it's also a sense of fear and anger, not just for Malian citizens, but for the armed forces as well, because they're increasingly frustrated at the juntas, at the military juntas' counter-terrorism mistakes.
Indeed, it is worth obviously reminding people that there is a military junta in Mali at this present moment in time. France, of course, out at the end of Operation Barkhane, November 2022. I'm not going to stand here and kind of try to make the case that it would be better if France was still involved. It's not that easy to say. However, can I ask your opinion on this one? If France was still there, do you think things might be better?
I can only say that it seems to me like the situation is getting worse and worse since France has left. There have been many problems with Barkhane and French operations in the country. UN peacekeeping mission MINUSMA as well was also lacking in many respects. But what the Malian junta is claiming as successes, battlefield victories that they call as the retaking of Kidal, they are fake victories. The security situation is progressively worsening. There is more and more JNIM recruitment all over the country, but also all over the central Sahel. And this level of control by JNIM is unseen. even as the Al-Qaeda affiliate was marching across northern and central Mali in 2012 and 2013. So the situation is definitely worse now than I believe it could be should Barkhane be present still.
Delina Gotcho, we'll return to this story because there is so much to explore, but sadly time against us right here at this present slot we have. That's Delina Gotcho, Associate Fellow at the Egmont Institute Africa Programme in Geneva, Switzerland. Thank you for joining us and giving us a sense at least of what is happening across the Sahel right now and of course specifically in Mali.